Hey, this is Kyle Reed from True Shot Gun Club. Today we're going to go over 9mm ammunition. So if you're watching this video, you probably are new to guns. You just got your first 9mm pistol, and now you're either shopping online or you're at your local gun store and you look for 9mm. And it is an ocean of different brands and different types, and it can get overwhelming and kind of confusing. So we want to hit on some of the higher points here. So the first thing you might notice, if you're looking carefully, is you're going to see 9mm Luger, 9x19, 9mm Parabellum. Those, for all intents and purposes, are the same thing. Without getting too detailed, there are some nuanced differences. It's going to work likely in your firearm. Now, I do want to make a note of caution. If you see a 9mm Makarov, that is not the same thing. So if it says Makarov, stay away. Now, also, you've got three main types. You've got a 115 grain, a 124 grain, and a 147 grain. Yes, you'll see higher in the heavier grains, you might see a 158, and there's a lot of companies that have kind of niche-y rounds. But the 115, 124, 147 are gonna be your top three grain weights. Now, when I first got into shooting, I was confused because gunpowder is measured in grains. So I thought 115 was the powder charge and 124 would be a hotter round. That is not true. All that the 115 versus 124 is designating is the weight of the projectile. So a 124 projectile weighs more than a 115. It's also going at a slower velocity. So a lot of times people go, well, which one's right for me? And the answer to that question is never easy. There's a lot of factors that go into that. What gun are you shooting? What's the barrel length? And what's the purpose? Personally, I typically shoot 115 grain. I would say I'm an average shooter. Your more competitive shooters, your advanced shooters, typically are gonna like that 124 grain because it's a little bit heavier, so it's going a little bit slower. So there's a little bit less felt recoil. Now, it can also be great for a new shooter as well who wants to calm that gun down. But honestly, if you're new to shooting, the difference between a 115 and a 124 is hard to feel. As you get more into it, you will notice there's a difference, so you can get the follow-up shot much quicker on a 124 grain. But again, that comes with time and repetition. So we have some range footage showing the difference. And again, it's gonna look minute, but there is a difference, especially when you're behind that firearm. For this range footage, we did use a PMC 115 grain and a PMC 124 grain. A couple other questions that we get is, one, does ammo go bad? And the answer is not really. Store your ammunition in a dry, cool place. Think of a safe inside your house. Think of up in the closet. We typically don't want to store it outside or in a garage because of the moisture in the air. Now, a lot of companies have sealed primers, which if you ever see a color on the ring of the primer, it's a sealed primer to keep moisture from getting into that primer and ruining it. But again, ammo made in the last 50 years is typically gonna go good as long as it was stored correctly. And then another question we often get is that 9mm gonna fit into my gun? And the answer is, again, as long as most ammunitions of the 9mm variety are gonna be that 9mm Luger, occasionally you're gonna see Parabellum or the 9x19. Yes, that is gonna fit in your firearm. As always, check the box, check the firearm to make sure it matches up. And if you have questions, whether you're ordering it online from True Shot or if you're at another gun shop and walking, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's the biggest thing is people in the community wanna help you, so don't be afraid to ask. And you're gonna see a lot of different brands also on the shelf. And that's gonna mean a lot of different things. Certain people find certain brands that their gun just likes better or they're more confident with, or it's a more consistent load, or it's just the right brand. And I highly suggest play with it at first. Take a PMC 9mm 115 grain, take a brand you've never heard of, take a Winchester, do that for yourself and play with grain weights, play with brands to see what you like best, what your gun likes best. A couple other small pieces, again, when you get in the higher grain weights. So what's a 147 grain 9mm used for? Typically what we see with that is that's gonna be ideal for a suppressor. Again, that heavier grain weight bullet projectile is gonna be much slower, so it's gonna make less noise, especially when you shoot that suppressed. So the heavier subsonic ammunition is really made for suppressor whether you're shooting that out of a traditional pistol or if you want to go to a pistol carbine, throw a suppressor on there and it's going to quiet that up and save your ears, which is fantastic. Last question is, sometimes you're going to see 9mm 124 grain, and you're also going to see 9mm 124 grain NATO. NATO is just a NATO spec. Typically, it runs a little bit harder of a primer. Again, you're not going to notice it most likely. The difference between a NATO spec and a non-NATO spec. So there's a lot of interchangeability. And then again, like, what's the best ammo that you want for your home defense with your 9mm? Always, always, always get hollow points. You're gonna see it listed as either a hollow point, which is abbreviated HP. You're gonna see a jacketed hollow point, which is a JHP. And then some other rounds and companies get a little more exotic in how they name it. But basically, you're looking for a self-defense hollow point. And we'll have a follow-up video on that as well. Basically, a hollow point is a much better self-defense round than shooting a full metal jacket, round nose. Also, a lot of times talked about as ball ammunition. Basically, if it goes through sheetrock, ball ammunition go through a lot of sheetrock. That hollow point is going to go into sheetrock and it's going to open up and not go through half your house. So again, it's a much, much better product. Anyway, if you have any other questions about 9mm, please reach out to us. You can either shoot us an email, you can find us on social media, you can ask us a question below. We do answer those. And again, we hope this has been helpful. And again, don't let the fact that there are tons of different 9mm brands, grain weights, types, projectile types, scare you. Buy some, practice, learn, and ask questions. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm Kyle Reed. As always, if you like this, please share it, subscribe, click the bell to make sure you get notified, and drop us a comment below. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.